Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max, episode 211. And of course, we are the official video games podcast at W2Net.com and in partnership with Last Word on Live. I am your host, Sean Garmer, and here with me, as always, Mr. Marc Morrison.
Howdy.
We're a two-man show today because Jens was actually visiting Mark, and he is on the way home or just got home or what?
He's back home and recuperating.
Yes. So you went to go see a concert, right?
Yeah, we went to see the Nier Automata concert. It was in Chicago. I think it was like the 24th and 25th. It was good. But the first hour was like Nier music, which I didn't know at all because no one ever played Nier except for Jens. And the second half was like Nier Automata music, which is actually good or recognizable.
Nice. It's like me packed. When I've gone to Final Fantasy concerts and they play songs from a Final Fantasy game I didn't play very much, and I'm like, well, I'll just wait.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the first hour was all like Nier music. I was just thinking, like, I could have been in the merchandise line. Like, I don't need to be
right. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I mean, the theater, it probably seated maybe like 1,500 people. The theater kind of sucked. It was really narrow. Like, the seats were, like, cramped as hell. It was also just jam-packed with people. Like, a lot of cosplayers were there. I couldn't get any merch because, like, the line is always busy. So, wow. But the music was good, and it was a fun experience.
Yeah, I mean, I had fun I went with, like, some of the anime group people that I was in college, so the Final Fantasy one, along with their roommate, and that was certainly interesting. I think the most I remember is we couldn't find my car for like an hour afterwards.
Oh, we actually, I mean, we had a hotel. We actually walked to the venue. It was like
nice.
Close. It was like we just had to like go through a parking garage and like cross the street, and that was it. We were there.
Man, if they ever decide to take a Persona on tour concert.
Jens is like, oh, do you ever see a Chrono Cross concert? I'm like, no. And he was like, why not? And I'm like, well, I don't have any connection to that series. Like, why would I?
Wait, they do Chrono Cross before they do Chrono Trigger, or is it both games?
I mean, they might do both, but I think Chrono Cross has like the more orchestral soundtrack because, obviously it would.
Right.
But, if they ever did a Persona one, I'd definitely go to that. And, or try my hardest to.
Yeah, I think I would travel for that if they said, okay, we're doing only like a couple, and that they may not turn it into the Final Fantasy thing where they go to other states or whatnot. I would definitely consider that, because that's one of those, like, man, once in a, who knows?
Yeah.
So... But especially to have like the actual like artists and everything, not just an orchestra concert, but to like have the singers like they do in the Japan concerts show up and everything. That'd be awesome.
So I mean, they actually had I think the composer for the games, Yoko Taro was there, and I think some other producers there. And yeah, it was good.
Well, I know you have been, kind of enjoying Jens being over there. Have you gotten to play anything or play more Kakarot or?
I mean, I haven't played more Kakarot. I'm at to the point now where, like, I just got to the Ginyu Force stuff in Kakarot. Like, Goku is basically just landed.
Okay.
And he's ready to fuck shit up. That's been enjoyable. I got, from Jens, he got me Tokyo Mirage Sessions, whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah, you can just call it Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Encore or whatever, It's good. My Switch controller is kind of screwing up. Like, both Joy-Cons are like now kind of messing up. So I now need a Pro controller, I think, at this point. But I completed the second dungeon, which is pretty good. It's not like the most challenging RPG so far, but I enjoy it.
Well, that's the important part, is that it's enjoyable. I know it gets compared to Persona a lot. Persona Lite whatever.
I mean, it's not as involved as Persona because it's not. Well, for one, there's no like school aspect to it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, even like the spell names, like Dia is heal and Aji is fire and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, also like your Persona are the Fire Emblem characters.
Hey, that's that connection right there. So
I mean, I only know Marth and like the people in Three Houses, and that's about it.
Well, hey, you start somewhere.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about it's good, but the only thing I don't like about their bosses, like every boss has like the boss and then like two like side enemies, like support enemies that you have to deal with, and then like if you deal with them halfway in the fight, like once you get the boss whittled down to half health, he spawns in two more enemies to help to support him.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that part. Yeah.
Yep. All right. This is lame. Like I'd just rather just focus on the boss.
I think that happens in SMT as well. Like you start taking out other, the side enemies, and then they'll come back, and you have to figure out how to take them out again. And
yeah. But the story is pretty good, and yeah, I like the actual gameplay is fine, or solid.
Yeah, that's what I remember the most is the battle system with the sessions and all that stuff. That's
like your combo. It's just pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna wait until it goes on some kind of sale or something.
I think it's like you said, it's like $50 at Walmart. And I think it might be $50 on Amazon right now. But yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do some special edition, like soundtrack or some big thing.
Well, I mean, I think in Japan, because they didn't send enough copies, the Wii U version still sold more than the Switch version at launch, which was the opposite of here. So I think Nintendo still didn't think that there was a lot of people very interested, and so I don't know what they wanted to spend money on. I mean, obviously Atlas would also have to decide to spend money, and they have other things coming down the pike that they need to spend money on. So
I mean, yeah, but this is also a port. So I mean, there's no real cost involved, or very minimal compared to like developing Persona 5 Scramble or something.
Right. Well, they got Persona 5R, Scramble. Sega has the Yakuza games, so the Sonic stuffs. They got a lot going on right now. One funny thing, I was talking to this cosplayer friend of mine last night, and I was like, I don't know if you played it or not, but you should get Tokyo Mirage Sessions. And she's like, what's that? And this is a friend, like, she has more time in Fire Emblem 3 Houses than I do. I got like 160 hours. She has like 170, I think. So I was like, it's like a Persona-like RPG where the Persona are basically Fire Emblem characters, and you play as idols and like high school students, but who are also like singers and actors and stuff. And she was like, "What?" Like, she's like, "I gotta go rush out and buy this game." And I was like, "Yeah." Like, she's like, "Why didn't I hear about this before?" And I was like, "Because it was on the Wii U, and no one cared about that." Yeah, it came out near the end of the Wii U cycle, so by then nobody really cared about that at all. Right. And also, I think it's just a lot of people don't even know that it has the FE in the name, but a lot of people tend to not make that connection because on the surface, there's nothing really. You wouldn't think it's a Fire Emblem game at all.
Yeah, if they said, I think the original name was like Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem.
Right.
And if they did say slightly more provocative name than some weird Tokyo bullshit that, doesn't describe it that well.
Yeah, I don't remember what... I know someone eventually said what the reason was why they changed the name, but... Yeah. I think it's because it was supposed to have more Fire Emblem connection than it actually did, and then when they removed a lot of that, they said, "Oh, why don't we just call it something else?"
Right.
So,
I got something else to play. I think playing like one or two other thing. Oh yeah, I got the hottest game. I think I told you about last night, called Real Farming for PS4. Because it was less than $1, and I was like, "Hey, why not?" And I plowed a field, and I'm like, "Yep,
that's farming." And I completely forgot. I've had the Epic Game thing for ever since I got Control.
Yeah.
And I forgot that they do the free game thing, and then they announced the free game, and I was like, Farming Simulator 19 or whatever. It was like, wow, all right, I can just continue not taking free games yet.
Yeah.
No offense to the people that like those games or whatever. It's just, not my thing at all.
Yeah, so can't wait for that.
And
Real Farm is currently 79 cents in the PSN store, so it's like, yep, I guess I'll buy that.
Do they still have that big sale going, or did that just end? Or
I think it just ended. I mean, they have sales periodically.
Yeah, I know Steam has that lunar sale going on.
Yeah, I think everyone's doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the coronavirus thing going on. It's having more on that.
I gotta say, Kakarot is still boring the shit out of me, kind of.
It is? Why?
Well, they just don't add any new mechanics. It's just like I'm doing the same shit I did, like, the first hour, then doing, like, hour 10 now or whatever.
Well, you still haven't gotten Super Saiyan Goku. So.
Yeah, but it's just a form transfer. I mean, I already got Kaioken, and it's like, I think Kaioken, it, like, drains your health.
Right, that's what it's supposed to do, yeah.
Super Saiyan, like, drains your stamina, or, like, your power meter. But that's, like, the only noticeable difference. Like, it's not, like, I mean, you're stronger, kind of, but it's not, like, huge or anything.
Yeah, but you'll get to play with other characters and stuff.
I mean, I already have.
Yeah.
I played as Goku, Gohan, Piccolo, and Vegeta.
I think I read something that you play as Gohan for like 60% of the game because Goku dies.
Because Goku's always dead.
All the time. So,
also, like, I really hate the leveling system. Or, I mean, not the leveling system yet, but like the character skill tree upgrade. It's like the most arcane thing you can imagine. Because it's like, oh, you have, like the Gallic gun, like Vegeta has a Gallic gun. It's like, oh, you can upgrade to the Gallic gun version 2. And it's like, oh, it does more damage. But it doesn't tell you how much more damage it does, or like why you would ever do it in the first place.
Does it actually like change the look of it or whatever?
No,
or just
nope, same move.
It's just supposedly more powered up.
Yeah, but it doesn't tell you like how it's powered up. Like if it said like, oh, it does 15% more damage, then I say, okay, that is a tangible reason for me to do this. But not, hey, it does more damage. And it's like, well, is it 5% more damage or 500? Like that. This might help me want to upgrade.
Sometimes it really feels like they said, hey, how can we do something different with this Dragon Ball story? Oh, let's make an RPG, but we're going to make it...
I mean, it is the same Dragon Ball story. Like, I've seen nothing, like, except for, like, maybe, like, one or two small things.
They do add some small things. But,
like, I know there's supposed to be some sixth Ginyu Force member called, like, Banya or something like that.
They do add a Ginyu Force member, yes.
Yeah. She's like, well, it's a female character.
Right.
And I haven't seen her at all. And I have a sneaking suspicion she'll be, like, way at the end of the game.
Well, like, apparently, like, there's a story of where, like, Goku finds out what happens to Launch, and you find out some other things as well that are kind of tied in.
I've already met Launch.
Yeah.
Or, Gohan.
No, like, what happens to her, I guess, after...
Oh.
After you... I don't know if you see her again in Dragon Ball Z, or she just is... After Dragon Ball, you don't see... The first Dragon Ball, you don't see her again?
Once or twice, like, very, like, cameo roles.
Right.
That's about it. Or I think, like, Master Roshi tries to hit on her, and, it goes nowhere.
Yeah, so... I think it's supposed to, like, tell you what happens to her or something, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they do a lot of deep pulls from, like, Dragon Ball, which is kind of nice, but it's like, there's just the same story about, like, oh, I gotta face,
right, you're following along his story.
Fucking Raccoon and all that Ginyu Force members and bullshit. It's like, oh, man. These fights are not complicated or challenging, and just doing the same melee, combo over and over, and occasionally, like, ducking out when they perform an energy move, and that's about it.
Yeah, I think most of the people that I've heard talk about it this is a wonderful, like, wonderful story for wonderful, like, homage and great fan service for Dragon Ball if you're a huge fan. And even if you're not a fan, like, it's a nice way to sort of get the gist of the story.
Well, it's a good adaptation, but yeah, I mean, it moves about as slow as the actual anime. So it's like, oh man.
Well, they do have to tell what is it, like 300, 400 episodes of anime like into one
350 or something. Yeah,
into a 40, 50 hour game. So
I think I read like if you do everything, it's like 100 hours. It's like, well, I guess I won't be doing everything then.
I do appreciate that they don't just like mainline through just all the fight stuff. There's also the small things that are in there too. I think that's nice.
I mean, kind of, but I mean, the small stuff is like super inconsequential. Like it's just, you know, flying around and collecting these stupid orbs, or like occasionally going fishing, but it doesn't really do anything. I mean,
well, I didn't mean that. I meant like, you know, they don't have to put in the Goku and Piccolo driving school thing. They don't have to put in some of the times that you play as Gohan, or, you know, they don't have to put that stuff in, but they do. So, you know.
Yeah. So are you playing anything fun?
Yeah, well, actually, I think that you also literally, they just sent it to me 10 minutes ago. So,
yeah.
Mark will probably talk about Journey to the Savage Planet next week. So there's that. I'm still waiting to hear back on Kentucky Route Zero, and I'm going to assume that Warcraft 3 Reforged is not going to happen because Blizzard's PR doesn't even respond to you. They just automatic reply. So, hey, at least they send an automatic reply, which is nice. But I'm playing Temtem, which, you know what? It's a really, really good Pokemon adaptation. So, you know, if you didn't like things about Sword and Shield and you want to go back to, I guess, what you liked about Pokemon and you know, the portable game, the you know, Game Boy and DS games or whatnot, this game is for you. The one biggest obvious change from Pokemon is that this has a stamina system instead of having the PP points added to all the moves. So you can't just, if you're in a trainer battle, because I wouldn't say that when you're battling wild Pokemon you'll have this problem, because the stamina recharges after every battle. But if you're in a trainer battle or in a dojo battle, because it's not, they can't call it gyms, they call it dojo, because, you know, obviously Nintendo only needs to find one sliver of reason to sue you, so they're making sure that they don't. I think that's what makes it fun, is I think the stamina system makes you actually have to think about what you're doing, what moves you decide to use, and also you might have to actually, you know, switch out your Pokemon mid-fight, even if their HP isn't low, because, oh crap, I can't do anything with them without hurting myself and taking away more HP. And I also thought some of the battles were harder as well. You know, I felt like I had to, and usually for a lot of the games, it's like a breeze to go through the first, you know, one or two gyms. This one, just to even get to the first gym, and then you actually have to go through like 3 towns just to find the first gym leader to get her to go back to the gym that she's supposed to be at. And just going through there was not easy at all. And, you know, I think it's a testament to them understanding that, okay, let's make something that's for the older Pokemon gamers that, you know, isn't bound by Nintendo and Pokemon Company needing to appeal to the young audience that loves their toys and the anime and everything else. And I think this is something that Temtem can really lock into, and it's technically an MMO, even though you can play it by yourself. And you don't have to, the only reason that there's people there is if they can challenge you to a fight, or they can, if you know someone, you can join them in their game and you can join them in battles or whatever. So you can join them in battles against NPCs, because it's a 2-on-2. It's always 2-on-2 instead of the 1v1. So that's also a different kind of challenge that's in this game. But I mean, aside from that, it's literally, if you played any Pokemon game, you'll recognize a lot of the similarities, and basically it's 85% Pokemon aside from the type differences and the the types all have different names, and there's actually not just a super effective, there's also a half effective, which is weird too. It's kind of interesting. So there's a lot of intricacies to Temtem that are not there in Pokemon. So I think, and since it's an MMO, it can just be iterated on. They can just keep adding islands and stuff like that. You don't have to get a new game per se. I mean, at first, at launch, it was a kind of an issue because you had to queue in, like happens with MMOs. Mark knows very well that issue. So this is my first time playing an MMO since I tried out WoW a long time ago. So it's interesting to like go back to that mechanic, but it's enjoyable. I like it. I like being able to pop in and basically after every battle it saves. So you don't have to worry about losing your spot if you get knocked out or you don't, if you need to get out really quick, you can. So I really appreciate that they respect your time and it saves constantly so that you don't lose a chunk of stuff after you play some. So definitely, I mean, I know $35 is maybe a lot for people if you're, thinking about some other games that you want to save up that are coming out later. But definitely if it ever goes on a Steam sale or something, I don't know how that's going to work being an MMO if they're going to put it on a sale. It is supposed to come to consoles next year. That's going to be interesting how Nintendo goes, what if Nintendo tries to do something to get them to not show up on the Switch. But I think when it does come to consoles, I think it could really be something whenever it gets out of early access and becomes a full game whenever they decide to, this is how much content we're going to have and everything. But if you think about it, you're basically paying the price of one 3DS version of Pokemon for an entire Pokemon game and to have all the things that you want in it. So I don't think it's too bad, honestly, the price, but I know that might be steep for some considering it's early access. You can always play the waiting game though if you'd like.
Did you ever play this is an old PS1 RPG called Jade Cocoon?
No, I always heard things about Jade Cocoon, but I didn't. Yeah,
it was it was a Pokemon clone essentially, but a little more anime. But also you could like merge and like have your creatures like have kids and stuff.
Cool.
So yeah, it was good. I mean,
yeah.
You're talking about that game reminds me of that game a little.
Well, maybe if those PS5 rumors are true, Jade Cocoon will find its way back to where you can get it really easily.
I think they did a second one, didn't do too well, so I think the studio folded it.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, probably means those. I wonder how much just buying a disc of Jade Cocoon probably costs at this point.
Probably like, I can check, but I'd say like $20, maybe even less.
Oh, that's not bad. Well, I also played a Mosaic, which is a point-and-click game. I played it with the gamepad, so it wasn't necessarily point-and-clicky for me. You can call it a walking sim if you want, but there is puzzle elements.
Is that dream game? Or like the perspective game?
That's the game where you're an office worker and he does have like dreams.
Okay, I'm thinking of something else, sorry.
Oh. Yeah, so he basically plays an office worker that, he's basically burned out and he has this grind of working in an office. You walk to your job every day. You do the same things every day, but every day you kind of, if you get off the beaten path, you kind of walk and find some clarity for your life. And it's about, like, I want to say 3.5-ish hours. So it's not long. But again, I think this is one of those where if that environment, if like that kind of story to you is played out or whatever, if you're like a big Office Space fan or something like that, maybe. I enjoyed it because I've been through that grind before where you're just going to work and you're so having to focus on, well, I got to do this to live, and I'm not really talking to a lot of people, and I'm not really doing a whole lot outside of that. So it kind of, hit me on a personal level sometimes. but I can also see where that may not jive with you. Also, if you're not a big walking simulator person, this is not going to change your mind. So I wouldn't recommend that. But yeah, I liked it. It was short, and my review should be able to. Actually, now that I start a job again, I don't know how quickly I'm going to be able to write it, but I got it about halfway done. And that's go ahead.
I was thinking of a game called Superliminal.
Okay. I feel like I've heard of that before.
Yeah, it's a good perspective. Yeah. It's like portable with like objects.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it for me, pretty much. And yeah, I should have mentioned this when we were talking about Kakarot, but supposedly there's going to be DLC for Kakarot that's going to go through the movies. Like, specifically Brawly is named.
Yeah.
So,
Gotta make a season pass somehow.
Well, there you go. You'll have more to go through.
I think they actually are still on a season pass for that game already. So,
all right, let's get into the news, which there's quite a bit. I should mention that our main topic is discussing PS5 games, and when we think if they come out of the ones aside from the ones that have been announced, there's a lot of. It's funny, like in the past 2 weeks, I felt like I've heard every franchise that the PS5 has had lately, and some from the past, get rumored to show up as either a launch game or a launch window game or coming soon to PS5 or something. So we'll do that at the end. But getting to the news, Torchlight Frontiers is now officially Torchlight 3. That basically just got announced a few hours ago. The Ector Games CEO Max Schaefer had a video where basically he said that they had discussed a lot with their alpha testers. They get him a lot of feedback about, maybe you need to just go back to your roots and make a Torchlight 3. Make something that's more like Torchlight 1 and 2. I know you're a big Torchlight fan, Mark.
I mean, I wouldn't have played it if it was like an MMO probably. So yeah, they're making a Torchlight 3 is what people probably want. So
yeah, I mean, now this is going to be a retail game instead of, or at least a game where you buy it and you get everything instead of, you're going to pay the subscription price or the free to play, and then they keep adding stuff. So
right,
that's a plus.
I mean, it'll also probably eventually come to PC, which is not, or consoles, it'll be good, but hopefully it runs better than Torchlight 2.
Yeah, it still has online multiplayer, and it has the 3 character classes: Dusk Mage, Forged, and Railmaster.
Yeah.
Was there something from 2 that you felt like they really could have used in the next game, or?
You mean the console version or the PC one?
Well, just I guess quality of life things that you've seen added to these type of games after Torchlight 2 that you go, man, Torchlight 2 could really use that.
Yeah, a working online mode.
Well, they're aiming for that with this. So.
The PC version ran fine, but the PS4 version runs like garbage. Like, me and Jens can't play it because we start desyncing from each other.
Really? Is that bad?
Yeah, he'll drop out. Like, either he or I will drop out, but our character will still occasionally be there and just running in place. I will have arguments about I'm at this. I'm at this objective, and he'll be like, I'm also there, but we can't see each other because we just desynced or something, and it's nuts.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
and they know it's an issue and just never fixed it.
They've kept patching it off and on, but if anything, it's gotten worse since they've been trying to patch it. So after a while, we just gave up and started playing Borderlands 3. Because that's a worse game, but at least it has a working online mode.
That's bad when you're saying Borderlands 3 is that much of a worse game.
Same thing with Catherine, actually.
Oh, the multiplayer, where you move the boxes around and stuff?
Well, the online multiplayer, that's never worked in that game.
That was supposed to be one of the big things about that game, too, was...
even like the Japanese copy was screwed up. Like I saw a post from like, the Japanese were like, people were like, are they going to fix this? And I was like, nope, apparently not, because they released the American copy with the same stupid issues, and it's never worked. And I even asked like a PR rep on Facebook or on Twitter about like, when is this getting fixed? And he never got back to me. So
that's not really encouraging at all.
Yeah, I kind of you just abandon this then, or just put it out to shut like 2 people up. But it's a worse release than the original, apparently.
Well, moving on, we also have the surprise that I'm sure made Greg Miller super excited. In fact, I know it did, because I watched his news, the Kind of Funny Games news thing after from today, and they spent the first 10 minutes talking about this because he's been wanting this forever. Patapon 2 has officially gotten a release date, which is Friday, January 30th, for PS4. And hey, Patapon 2 Remastered showing up on PS4 is a, I guess, big thing for him and many others that are lovers of the PSP. And hey, I played some of the first game. I really liked it. It's $15, not too bad, I think. So
I mean, it's appropriately priced. I don't think people would pay like $60 for it or anything.
Yeah, I may check this. I may get the second one at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's also just still running that PS Vita emulator that Parappa runs off of, and I think Lumines does also.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Yeah,
but hey, why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Also, Ninja Theory announced Project Mara, which is supposed to be basically like another Hellblade type game, but they're going to go even further into the quote-unquote mental terror that they're going to make sure that the mental horrors that you deal with in this game are going to be very accurate. There's supposed to be actual lived experienced accounts and everything else that you're going to go through in that game. And it seems like they use the same person, because the 40-second clip seems basically like her, but she's almost wearing the similar Hellblade makeup as well in that trailer.
So here's a question. Do you think Ninja Theory is just going to be reduced to making these types of games forever now?
Well, they're not, right? They're making Bleeding Edge.
Oh.
So I think they just enjoy making these kinds of games, personally. I think that they seem to enjoy. I mean, they're making Hellblade 2, and they've really put a lot into Hellblade 1, and they're still doing those Project Dreadnought documentary series things that show how much they actually put into making Hellblade. So if it's Project Mars, anything like that, I'm totally on board. I loved all of the atmospheric and stuff that they did for that game. Look, there's parts of that if you're really somebody going through that, I'm sure you can pick it apart and say that doesn't really happen or whatever. And I think this is what they're trying to say, okay, we understand that we got some things right with Hellblade, we didn't get some things right with Hellblade, so now we're going to go even further deeper into what causes these things and make sure that when we make this game, it's even more accurate than we believed Hellblade was. So I don't know, are you gonna interested in this at all, or?
Probably not. I mean, I'm just not into those types of games. So, if you don't want to keep making them, sure, but I still miss, I miss their older stuff, I would say.
Well, I mean, do you have something in particular that you miss, or?
Well, I mean, they just used to make, more adventure-type style games.
Yeah.
What do they make? Enslaved or Heavenly Sword.
Right, yeah. I mean, I remember when Heavenly Sword came out, that we're making a huge deal about Heavenly Sword. Enslaved is still one of the most, I think, beloved story games from that PS3 era. So, I think part of it is I wonder how much faith they really have in Bleeding Edge. Because I just look at that game and I say, I don't know if this is going to do well. And,
I mean, you probably could have said the same thing about, the first Hellblade. that seemed to do pretty well.
I don't know, but even you look at, right? I mean, it's one of those online multiplayer shooter. Isn't that like a battle royale thing? So
I thought it was more like it's going to be more like For Honor or something.
Okay, similar, but it's
there are different classes, and it's a lot more melee focused, and yeah.
Well, that's sort of a Ninja Theory as well. So, I mean, if it all does well, I think they could certainly have a smaller team work on some of their more adventure type games if they wanted.
Yeah.
But now with Guerrilla Games doing Horizon, I think it's perhaps difficult for them to go back now that they've kind of made a good niche for themselves with this kind of thing.
Or now that Microsoft bought them.
I don't know that Microsoft's technically forcing them to do it. I think on some level you have to be enjoying it as well. Or Microsoft's budget allows them to do even more. So they're excited to keep doing more with that.
Yeah.
Well, one more game did not escape the delay train that happened last week. Dying Light 2 already didn't really have a release date. It was just spring 2020. And then now it just doesn't have a release date at all, being delayed indefinitely.
I mean, they showed a trailer for that game a while ago. But it looked super early even then. So,
yeah, E3 they had one too, I think.
It's I don't think this game's coming out for a long ass time.
Yeah, they're saying that basically Techland wants to bring Dying Light 2 to the standards that they're chasing, and that they having this indefinite window allows them to be free of time constraints. So now they have. Does this make you worried about the game at all?
Not really. I mean, it made me think of It made me think of their other game, Dead Island.
Yeah, Dead Island.
Which has, I mean, at least Dying Light 2 has a trailer. Or, has people are working on that game.
There's still rumors that Dead Island 2 is being worked on.
Yeah, it's only been, 7 years since they showed that trailer. I mean, or
right.
whatever. They showed that trailer in, 2014. I mean, that was 6 years ago. That's nuts.
Yeah, it is nuts, right?
I mean, I think it's going to be approaching, Duke Nukem territory soon.
I mean, is there people, really still excited for that game, though? It's
Well, I mean, the problem is they kept changing developers, which is always, a good mark of quality.
With how bad those spin-offs and all that were.
Yeah, that didn't help.
They kind of... Yeah. I feel like they killed people's enthusiasm for those games.
Yeah. Yeah, it went from, Techland, I think, to Jaeger, to now it's a company called
Deep Silver.
Well, Deep Silver is just publishing it.
Yeah.
But now a company called Dam Buster Studios is making it, who have made... The only other thing they made was Homefront: The Revolution, which was a real banger, as you can imagine now. So...
I remember the whole ordeal with that franchise. Yeah, that series.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the thing that Crytek didn't pay their employees, and
that was one of them, yeah.
Ripped that off, and it didn't go well.
And Crytek is such a super shady company that who even knows.
Well, speaking of shady stuff, Activision has done some shady stuff in the past, and now they're partnering with Google to have their online infrastructure put into some of their games, and also now all of their esports are going to be on YouTube Gaming. So Overwatch, Call of Duty, the Call of Duty League that just basically started this week. The Overwatch League, which is in Season 3, Hearthstone stuff, and I guess anything else Activision-Blizzard is putting out in the esports realm will be only on YouTube Gaming. So, I guess put one in the notch for them.
You can even now continue not to care about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is a small blow to, I don't know how much, really significant blow this is to Twitch. But I think this is a bigger deal than saying, like, take Ninja over to Mixer or whatever.
I mean, I don't think it's a big deal at all, because I think a lot of Blizzard's games, especially over the past, few years, have gotten real long in the tooth. And people are just sick of them.
Well, I mean, that's why they're making an Overwatch 2 right now, right? And a Diablo 4.
I mean, yeah, but that's not new. It's not, And also, it's not Diablo 4 is going to have an esports scene.
No, it's not. But, I mean, still, people are going to go bonkers when Overwatch 2 comes out, and people are going to go bonkers when Diablo 4 comes out. I mean, you're going to play Diablo 4. But,
I mean, people still play on Twitch. Like, it's not, they might have built-in shit for Google or for YouTube, but, no one's going to care about that.
No, definitely not. But I don't know. I think when you're taking whole leagues over to another competitor, that's a little bit different than saying, "Oh, we paid Ninja, what was it, like 20 to 30 million to go over to Mixer?" And it's just like,
well, I think about there's been a lot of rumblings about Blizzard, their esports divisions. They canceled Heart of the Swarm, and I know Hearthstone is doing really bad right now, and I think StarCraft 2 isn't doing great. And,
right.
Overwatch as well is also not doing great. And, I think there's, some Activision vice president, overseeing the esports scene over at, Blizzard, who's, ruining that division, ruining the company. So I imagine this is his directive, if anything. He doesn't understand esports at all. So
you got to remember also, Activision's not known for having these new original games. They just pump out Call of Duty every year. I mean, they publish Sekiro, but that's because From Software comes knocking at your door. They're not really going to tell them no.
Yeah, they didn't make it. I mean, that's the thing. They don't make games anymore, really.
So I mean, and that's because they have 3 studios working on just Call of Duty. So
well, no, at least 3.
Do they make any? I mean, and then Crash, right? But that was just remaking the old Crash and the old Spyro.
The new Crash or Spyro game. But it's we'll see. I mean, those games only work now because of nostalgia. But if Crash didn't exist and they just made a Crash game, it'd be who cares?
Right, but it's true what you're saying. They have now infected Blizzard to where Blizzard really did want to make a new game or take a genre and iterate on it like they have with all these other games that they've made in the last 10 years or so. They're not going to be allowed to because
they totally aren't. Yeah.
This is what Activision knows. Okay, well, Overwatch is doing great, but it's starting to slip, so guess what? You need to make an Overwatch 2. Well, people have waited. Diablo 3's been out for since 2012. Well, it's been long enough. You gotta put Diablo 4 out there, or you gotta put Diablo 4. At least let people be excited about it because it's still not coming until probably 2 or 3 years from now. So,
hey man, we got Diablo Immortals. What more do you want?
And I wonder how much of the StarCraft, the Warcraft 3 Reforged and all that, how much is that Activision, how much is that really Blizzard?
I imagine it's very much Activision, but that is about the only game you can do that with. That, you can't do it with Warcraft 1 or 2 without,
Right, no.
Warcraft 3 is still a 3D game. If you try to do it with Warcraft 2, I mean, it's basically making the game from the ground up. But they don't have, Blizzard has never had a huge game library to draw from. So, I mean, now, they have more games out now than they ever really have. But they're just so, WoW is 15 years old, or maybe 16. Overwatch is 4. Diablo 3, like you said, 7 or 8. Hearthstone's about 5, maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah, maybe actually farther than that, 6 maybe.
Yeah, it's all their games are just just getting up there. And it's like, well, yeah, they're not pumping anything out new. And even like, we were talking about it earlier, but like WoW is like gone off such a deep end, especially this.
They had to bring back. I mean, obviously that was a community-driven thing, but like they brought in WoW Classic, because they wanted to see if they could retain any numbers or.
I think they did well for them, but that's also not the business they want, because there's no cosmetic store in WoW Classic, or there's no item. You can't just buy items in that version of the game and just level yourself up instantly.
No, you can't. So I mean, I think that's the thing, and also the getting so many expanses in WoW now is also probably Activision related.
Well, yeah, I mean, also like they're completely resetting WoW to like current WoW. It's going to be, we're going to go from 1 to 60 again, but now it's we have like 6 different expansions of content. And it's like, well, you can just go anywhere now. It's like that. It's not really I mean, it's solving one problem but creating another.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like to keep that game going for as long as they have, it's absolutely incredible.
Other MMOs, I mean, EverQuest 1 is still kicking around.
I don't know how that's happening.
Well, I think, WoW has like 7 expansions. I think EverQuest 1 has like 20.
Yeah, that helps. But I mean, how many people really know that EverQuest 1 is still out there and kicking? You know what I'm saying? Like, at least WoW is still promoted and...
It's still it may not be the biggest MMO anymore, but it's still the most, revered, or, the most, historically relevant or whatever.
Right, the one you're going to draw from.
I mean, you're not going to get like a ton of new WoW players. But people still have like a fondness for that. Like, I think that WoW Classic did bore out for a little while, at least.
Yeah, certainly it helped. People were putting it on. I saw people putting it in some of their best of the decade lists or whatever, because it like hit that itch for them that bad.
But it's like, but that sweet spot wouldn't only exist because you're 35 and you played that game when you were 20 in college, like I did.
Right, exactly. Or even young. I mean, I had friends that did not go to college because they got so sucked into WoW. So, I mean, I don't know if they eventually did, later on. But yeah,
I had two friends who dropped out of college due to WoW.
Yeah, it's insane.
One just didn't go to class. He just stopped going to class, and he just kind of left. And the other, he took his computer home for winter to go raiding, during the winter break, and he never came back.
Wow. I mean, that's crazy. When you get in it, and that's all you want to do, then there you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we'll see exactly what all this Google stuff will do for Activision, and I don't know that this is going to do... I mean, obviously this is going to help YouTube, right? But I don't know that this is going to bring more eyes.
Have you ever watched anything on YouTube?
My daughter watches stuff on YouTube all the time.
Oh, I don't mean YouTube in general. I mean YouTube streaming.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's because I'm just not used to it. I'm just used to, okay, somebody tells me something's streaming, I just know it's on Twitch probably, and I just go over there.
Yeah, I mean, Twitch is number one, and I will occasionally watch Mixer if Microsoft goes, hey, we'll give you some free shit if you watch this on Mixer. It's like, alright, I guess. And then, I'll just watch it and just mute it and let it run in the background for a while.
Yeah, the only time I would go to a YouTube stream is if, I think Kinda Funny still streams their stuff through there, so... Or some of their stuff through there, so that's about it.
It could be a great marriage between Google and Blizzard, is if they put all of Blizzard's games on Stadia.
Oh,
remember Stadia?
Yeah. That probably feels like more of a losing effort at that point for Activision Blizzard. So, speaking of old games again, because we're getting more of them, KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic, may be one of the Star Wars games, the remake, I should have said that, might be one of the Star Wars games being worked on at EA. and this is by way of Cinelinx that says that claiming 2 independent sources that EA is currently working on reviving this game, and it's not a remaster, it would be a remake because it would be a way for them to make it part of the Disney canon, basically. Yeah. So they would have to change some of the story and all of that.
Not much of the story, though. I mean, that story still plays because it's not like, it's not taking place in this 40 years of Star Wars that everyone's...
Well, but remember, Disney came out and said it wasn't canon, so how much are they going to have to change, or what is Disney going to say is canon, it's not canon?
I mean, I'm sure they'll have their, 1,000 pages of notes or whatever, but considering, how Rise of Skywalker, did, and, Solo and Rogue One, it's like, being part of Star Wars canon isn't exactly special anymore.
That's very true. Even though The Mandalorian is,
The Mandalorian works
helping.
So it's barely connected to Star Wars. I think that's why it works. So, I mean, also it's good that they can't just do like a remaster of KOTOR. Like they would have to remake it because that game is 20 years old, 19 years old.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's still. I mean, there's people playing it on their phones right now.
And they just can't add a filter that says good graphics and push it out the door.
Right, definitely.
I mean, honestly, it's messy, but I might actually use the Frostbite engine. Because they got clearly working for Dragon Age, so I wouldn't imagine it wouldn't be that hard necessarily. But
I mean, there's also a thought that they might just be combining KOTOR 1 and 2 and then adding some stuff onto it and making it one game as well.
Well, the problem with that is those are pretty disparate games. There are some connections there, but KOTOR 1 and 2 story is completely different. So it'd be like, I'm gonna, make Kingdom Hearts, 1 and that stupid card game, the same game, and hope for the best. It's like, nah, we could try that, I guess.
That's not the greatest comparison because there is story connection. There is a direct tie-in to those two games. You're basically reliving the memories of the first game. So,
I mean, pick two games though.
So the stories don't continue at all.
Well, I think that certain characters show up. But it's not like you're playing as no one in the first. I think only 1 or 2 people from the first game show up in the second one for sure.
Oh, really?
Because it takes place 10 to 15 years after the first game. So I think the droids show up and you're on the same ship, but that's about it. And maybe 1 or 2 other characters. But yeah, it's it takes place years later. So Mass Effect 1 and 2 being the same game. It's maybe. But, also think about how long that game is going to be then.
Yeah, people do like their long games, though. It is a way to make...
People like their short games, too. If someone dropped in this thing and said, hey, it's an 80-hour Star Wars game, but, I'm good.
There's a lot of people that would eat that up, too, because then they could just pay their $60 and they get a huge-ass Star Wars game. Also, in this whole rumor mill which has been talked about after the first one did so well, as a sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, and something that's might be Switch exclusive or something as well. That doesn't seem too far out of the realm, considering how much you put your game on Switch and it sells well. But yeah, I could see them certainly doing the remake. I could see them saying, well,
they are so lost with that license that that's about the only game that they can do at the moment.
That's true. And could help BioWare as well. Even though I don't know how much BioWare would really be involved in that. They'd probably just get another port studio to do it or something.
I think that... I also think undertaking that game would be pretty massive, actually, because that is that's a long game. So...
Yeah.
Did you ever play KOTOR 1?
I played some of it, and I didn't like the fact that the battle system, so I didn't...
Oh, it was automatic, or...
Yeah.
Just back. Yeah.
I like the story thing, but it was during that time as well where, like, it's the same reason why I did stop playing Final Fantasy 12.
Yeah.
I didn't understand all that then.
Right.
So, I if I had time, I'd love to go back to it now because I probably wouldn't understand it. I'd like to just enjoy the story. But
I mean, the gameplay in KOTOR is a lot more simple than Final Fantasy 12.
Yeah. Also involved in here is Nintendo, probably way too late for this to have been a thing, because this should have come out when Super Mario Maker 2 was coming out. But there's a patent going around of Nintendo would want to put a touch pen on the Joy-Cons that goes where you put those L and R buttons.
Yeah, it looks like I think it's in the right Joy-Con, and it makes it look like a little bigger, like a little thicker.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not like people are just going ape trying to make stuff for the Switch's touchscreen. So, unless Nintendo was thinking about making a drawing game or like a Mario Paint 2 or something like that.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't think except for Mario Maker, and does any like Switch game actually use the style or the touchscreen well?
I remember there being this music game that came out at the launch for Switch that was you had to use the touchscreen.
Okay.
And that's about it. Like, I don't remember a lot of games just going, "Oh, I need to use the touchscreen."
Yeah.
I mean, some of them have them in there, right, where you can use it, but.
Or yeah, I mean, it's usually like you press it and then the map pops up or something. That's about it.
I don't even know. I mean, unless this is involving the Switch Pro, and they're going to introduce games that would use it as another gimmick for the Switch Pro, then cool. But I don't know. I still feel like this is something you should have come out with when Mario Maker 2 was coming.
Yeah.
Instead of telling people to go buy a stylus.
I think it would have helped. I mean, it might have helped a little, but I think the Switch touchscreen is also bad. So I don't think it would have helped necessarily like that much.
Yeah, it is an interesting thing that we'll have to definitely see if it actually happens, because companies make patents all the time, and we don't always see what happens with those patents.
Yeah. So. One quick thing about at the end. We went Chicago. You can buy a bunch of bootleg ass games.
Really?
It's really nuts. We went to 2 different game stores down there. We found 3 bootleg Super Nintendo games there.
Nice.
One store had Zelda. They're all Super Nintendo games.
Okay.
One store had Zelda Parallel Worlds, which is like a ROM hack of Legend of Zelda. Huh. And the other store had a bootleg of Mario World. And then Jens grabbed this one for me. It was called Super Metroid Redesign. And it's like a ROM hack of Metroid, and it's like way harder and more like way more screwed up from the first game, or the original.
Nice.
Like Samus drops like a rock in this one, so like platforming is like way more like challenging.
Ouch. Well, hey, if you want your harder Metroid, there you go. Are you like enjoying it then, at least? Or?
Yeah, I played a little of it. It's good. Yeah. Like, it's very different from like Super Metroid that I know of, so.
Some news that may or may not lead to there being another Splinter Cell game happening, as the Splinter Cell creative director has returned to Ubisoft. The man who was in charge for Splinter Cell Conviction and Blacklist, which Blacklist might be the best Splinter Cell game, is back at Ubisoft, and he went to go become the creative director at Epic Games, and then he left during that time and came back. I mean, so we've seen how many hints at there being a Splinter Cell game, and then we don't see it happening. And then they have also other games that, I mean, there's that Beyond Good and Evil is still out there, and we haven't seen a whole lot. I mean, we've seen like trailers, but that's pretty much it. You know, Wild is there, and we haven't heard crap about that. So like Ubisoft has a lot of games that are just in their ecosystem, which they're supposedly trying to improve at the moment, and then we don't see them come out. So
yeah, I mean that's the problem. Is I mean I would love a new Splinter Cell, especially if it's in more like the Blacklist direction. But I imagine if they make another one, it's going to be very stealth focused, which would turn me off because I didn't like those early Splinter Cell games at all. But yeah, like Ubisoft is like they've shown games off for years and they just never come out. Like I forgot about Wild, but like that was shown like 3 years ago, and they talked nothing about it. And I think even like Beyond Good and Evil, like I see occasionally tweets from whatever that guy's name is, the actor, Joe something.
I know who you're talking about.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
Like tweeting about like, oh, I want voice actors for this game. That's it. And it's like, all right. Like,
yeah, I think it's just one of those like, are you going to put some other franchises like Far Cry and Ghost Recon on hold to make Splinter Cell happen again? And didn't they just announce like DLC for Breakpoint again?
They keep like certain games, like Siege, Rainbow Six Siege. I didn't care about it, but it had a decent enough platform to like launch off of, or even like For Honor. Like again, not my bag, but seemed okay. But I think Breakpoint's a lost cause in their usual method of trying, fixing the game or adding more crap to it. It's not going to work with this one because I think it's just it's too poisoned.
Yeah, and they've already delayed, Watch Dogs Legion into this year, Gods and Monsters, Rainbow Six Quarantine. So, like, where are you going to fit this in? And that's the thing. You're going to have to say, okay, some of these series are taking a break in order for us to do Splinter Cell, and it would be a tremendous, like, E3 2020 announcement if they pull it off, if they do it, and say, okay, we brought him back to do Splinter Cell again.
Yeah, now they just need Jade Raymond.
Well, if Stadia keeps going the way it's going, could happen. Yeah.
Or Splinter Cell be a Stadia exclusive.
Oh, God. I don't think Ubisoft would do it, but, it'll show up on Stadia at least, because, they like supporting new things.
Yeah.
And finally, talking about news, this was old from, like, last week. I just forgot to mention it. They did clarify when it was actually coming to the US. So the Super Nintendo World, which got like this weird trailer.
I would say that was a bad trailer.
Yeah, that just kind of showed random things that are going to be in the park. And yeah, it's coming to Japan this year, and then it will finally hit Universal Studios Orlando in 2023. And when it does, I will find a way to make a trip down there to see it, because that's going to be cool.
Yeah. I mean, a Nintendo theme park seems pretty obvious, but I think that trailer was incredibly terrible because it's like a bunch of ARG shit, or, AR, crap. And it's like this, I want to see like the Mario roller coaster, or like, Bowser's Haunted Castle, or something like that. Not like people jumping up, in the air and hitting faux power blocks and stuff like that. It's like, what?
Well, they have to do it that way right now because you got to see it out there, and they don't want to show anything they don't want to show too much in the true park, so.
Well, I mean, the true park isn't built yet.
Yeah, so that's how it's just a virtual representation at this point, and you got to hope that you do get a cool Mario thing. And I mean, they have said that they'll do more than just Mario later, but right now that's where they're going with this. So,
well, I mean, the eventual goal will be Pokemon.
Oh, for sure.
Where they just start genetically engineering animals to be Pokemon. I can buy a Squirtle at this place. It's going to be like Jurassic Park.
Do it, Squirtle, in the park. Well, they'll just have a park where you just watch them all there, and maybe you'll get to do some kind of virtual catching thing.
Did you ever? This is related. Did you ever read Jurassic Park the book?
No, I didn't.
Okay, it's pretty different from the movie, actually. I mean, same kind of basic concept, but it's just different. But one of the fears that one of the guys has in the book is Hammond created dinosaurs, and he can sell pet-sized dinosaurs to people, and then he can also sell them to food and stuff like that. I can see Nintendo trying to do that at some point with Pokemon.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah.
Well, it's time to go ahead and get into our main topic, and this is kind of just going in and also letting us discuss all these next-gen rumors that have been going around for at least, I want to say, the past 2 weeks of just so many freaking, oh, this game is coming, oh, this game is coming, oh, it could be this game, or in the case of some of the studios, that Sony bought some of these studios and everything else, so we're just getting to put all of that in here as well. So this isn't the first time we talked about it, but with information that Capcom has released in the past week saying that there will be no more Resident Evil remakes for at least a few years, but they have been on record saying that they will, release a remake every year. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Resident Evil one. So with them doing the Dino Crisis, redoing the trademark, this is kind of leading everybody to believe that, okay, that Dino Crisis remake is really happening because they can kind of do it in the same style of the RE engine and everything else. So, you think we'll see it?
I kind of hope not, because I think even the Resident Evil 2 and 3, when that remake hits, the reason those games still work is because you still need to plant yourself. You have to aim. You have to hold L2 to aim, or LT, sorry, and press R2 or R2 or right trigger to shoot. And the reason that works is because most enemies in Resident Evil are slow. Dinosaurs aren't slow. This will become a problem.
Yeah, no, certainly. It's going to be a big problem there with that. And I think it would allow them to make they have to change it up a bit, but I mean, you kind of see it some with Mr. X, and I'm assuming Nemesis, where they're a bit faster, so now they'd have to really be able to turn that around with these dinosaurs some of these dinosaurs being super fast, like the Velociraptor and all that. So how do they,
I mean, you might be able to do just a Dino Crisis game, but I don't think a remake necessarily would work well. But also, I don't think there's people have a ton of nostalgia for the property, but even those games were never good, or never as high as a Resident Evil was. Let's say that.
Yeah, but couldn't you also say it's because maybe the PS1 wasn't really powerful enough to take advantage of?
Well, they made that Dino Crisis 3 on Xbox, but they had a bunch of dumb shit to it, like jetpacks. It took place in a space station.
I think it'd be interesting to see if they did it maybe third person or something like that, and they changed it a bit, and they could certainly take liberties with it because they're doing it with 3, where they take liberties with some of the story, and then it's not a total straight up, remaster of the game. So
yeah,
I could see him do it. I definitely think you can. I wouldn't say this is going to come in the PS5's launch window or anything like that.
The next obvious game they'll make is Resident Evil Code Veronica.
Well, they said no Resident Evil remakes for a while.
Yeah, but that'll be the next one they do, but that's it. Because I don't think Resident Evil 4 that I think that still plays too well, or it's not. I mean, it's Resident Evil 2. The remake is basically based off that game. So I mean, they can redo the graphics, but it's not going to play any different necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a couple of years further down the line, when they start discussing the Resident Evil remakes again, I think you will see a lot of people clamoring. That's the thing I see a lot, is people like, okay, we got 2 and 3, where's the Resident Evil 4 remake? You know, that's the one I want remade, you know? So
I think that game is still... It's too relevant because they ported it like a fucking STD. Like, it was on every system.
Yeah, it's on the Switch now. You know.
It's on the PS4. Like,
right.
So, that would be weird.
Yeah, I mean, there's the reason why they can't really port 2 and 3 because those games are so old.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, they tried, but...
like, I think just... They could port 4 and 5 and 6 and the remake of 1 and 0 because those are a lot more recent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think we'll eventually see the remake of 4 because there's so many people clamoring for it, but I think it'll be a while.
I think it'll come, but I think it's still, like they say, a few years down the line. Like, I think Code Veronica, it still used the same basic, you know... camera angles, fixed camera angles, and like the same.
Yeah, plus you have the Claire tie-in too, which helps a lot with 2. So you have that. I think then we get into some of these other things where there's reports saying that Sony may have acquired Kojima Productions.
I thought I actually thought they owned it already.
No, that they weren't. They just had a deal with Sony.
Okay.
And obviously, because they're coming to PC, that they didn't care too much about it being totally exclusive.
Well, I didn't like Sony front them the money, or like basically give them the seed money to start the company.
Yeah, they gave them some money, and they certainly put in money to make Death Stranding.
Yeah.
But which is why it was a Sony exclusive until 505 decided to. Now they're the one publishing the PC game. But I think there's a big rumor going around that that's going to be announced by Sony whenever they do the big event for the PS5. And that along with that, his next game is going to be a horror game. Because obviously we know the history of he wanted to make the Silent Hill remake. Or the Silent Hill reboot, and Konami said no. And so this would be his chance to be able to do it. Along with that, there's rumors flying around that Sony might have bought Housemarque, who they have a long history with. Obviously, you know, they make Resogun, which was a launch game for the PS4. And the fact that they put their big game Stormdivers on hold along with every other project they were making to make this huge game with a partner that they've had a lot of history with. So they don't want to reveal what that game is, but it just it kind of seems like that rumor seems more true than false, you know? I don't know. What do you think?
They'll make a Jumping Flash 3.
But like, you think this is big for Sony to be able to pull in Kojima, and now you're making your own horror.
Well, I mean, he's always had a relationship with Sony. I mean, they've like Metal Gear 2 was on Xbox, and Metal Gear that like remakes Metal Gear Solid 1 is on GameCube. But I think that's been about it. Like most of his games have been on Sony platforms, so. I mean, sure. Like I said, I thought they already actually owned those companies. So, I mean, I guess you can also make a horror game, but I don't trust them.
Yeah, I definitely think that the Housemarque game, for whatever that's going to be, we'll see that soonish. Obviously, Kojima, we know how long he takes with his games, so that may not be for a year or two.
Yeah.
But I think along with that, and we've heard that Blue Point Studios is doing a remake of something for a while, and there's also rumors that Sony may have bought Blue Point. and that there's a lot of people, I think, wishing and hoping that it's Demon Souls that they're remaking. I don't know if that's the game necessarily or not, but I mean, that is, yeah.
I hope it's Tokyo Jungle. Or,
that'd be awesome.
Do you remember Trash Panic?
I remember that name. I don't remember what even that game is about, honestly.
Yeah, it was like a weird. It was almost like Tetris, kind of. But you had like a big dumpster, and you had to, like, smash objects into the dumpster, to make it all fit, and then occasionally you would like set fire to it, and it was cool. I want them to bring that back.
Yeah,
I would be happy. I mean, also it would never happen, but I really would like a Metal Gear Solid 4, port.
I could see Konami doing like some kind of collection if they want to make money.
Well, I mean, I think Konami might, but I don't think. Well, like Kojima is like really tied into that game. Like I think he even appears in it, so that might be a little weird.
Yeah, we'll
but also
see.
that game has never been outside of PS3, so
right.
I want it to be. I don't want to drag out my PS3 to play that one game.
Well, if the PS5 is backwards compatible to all those games, then I guess you could play it on your PS5, right?
Yeah, hopefully. That'll be the one game that isn't. That and PT.
Yeah. Demon's Souls, I think, would be really good for the people that love those games. It's the one Souls game that's not available on a system that's much more current. So, and it's the game I think a lot of people still go back to and love out of those Souls games. Like, it's, the hardest one. And
yeah, usually their first one also.
Right, it's their first one. And so, I think, it's funny because this is one game that I played a lot in the E3 2009 that I went to. And the lady was, like, giving me a hard time for dying. And then to come out and, like, hear the stories of how Demon's Souls is infuriatingly hard, I'm like, yeah.
I would if someone did that to me, I would have handed her the controller and been like, "You play it then. I'll watch you fumble around with it."
It's like you are basically trained to show me how to play this game. So yes, your whole job is to be good at that game. So you then complaining to me that this is the start of one of those. A series that it becomes renowned for being difficult and having to have somebody constantly make me feel bad for it was funny back then,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, cool for Blue Point if that's what they're doing. I know Jens would be super excited if that is what happens, but yeah,
I'm mostly indifferent.
Speaking of horror games, Konami is also working with other developers supposedly on 2 Silent Hill games. One is a reboot of the franchise, and another one is an Until Dawn style Silent Hill game. So we have seen them kind of take different avenues with Silent Hill sometimes, so that doesn't surprise me.
That'll be a nice pachinko themed game.
Yeah. I mean, I like Silent Hill. I think it's really I just like its weirdness and everything else, so I'm totally down with it. It's just, I'm weary of anything Konami does at this point that's not just bringing back old games.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like the same thing with like Activision. It's like, what is Konami making? Like, they make whatever soccer game, that's about it.
Yeah, I think that's like somebody finally told them, like, okay, we're doing good with these pachinkos and the mobile space is fine and whatever. I think we need to like get our name back out there in the gaming space. So, and we have these franchises.
Yeah, they like license Contra to like really bad developers.
Oh god, yeah, Rogots was awful.
Yeah.
So, hey, you know what? If they can make it work, then go for it. These are games that if they even get made, I think we see them way down the line or something. It's not.
I mean, yeah, they have to be like, PS5 or whatever because.
Yeah, I mean, it's PS5, but I think we're not seeing it for like the first couple of years or something.
Yeah.
Probably. One that's surprising because I don't think I've seen a lot of people clamor for an Order 1886 sequel.
No one should be.
But there are rumors flying around that people saw gameplay of a game being made by Ready at Dawn that also includes a wolf with yellow eyes and all this other stuff. But the thing is, this wouldn't be a PS5 exclusive. It'd be on Xbox Series X as well. And it could be an Order 1886 2, or maybe something in the same universe, or something like years after, or whatever, you know. You know, I'll say this. I think the thing is that Order 1886 was a narrative game that I think people thought, or it has gameplay, right? It has gameplay, but it's like, I think people thought it was going to be something that it wound up not being. And they were more disappointed in what they got than, you know.
No, you can't. That's a game you just can't defend. I think I paid $5 for it, and even then I felt screwed. Like, it's so short. Like, you know, even if it's a narrative game, it's like, it still doesn't work because the story is bad. So
right.
from that angle, it's broken. From like the gameplay angle, it's completely broken because it's the most like standard ass thing you could imagine, except for like one gun used twice in the game, and that's it. Like there are like you can't just use the thermite gun forever. It's just I'm in one section, and this is where I have to use it, and then after the second sections, you just drop it, like the Hammer of Dawn and Gears of War.
Yeah, I mean, some of this stuff, like, obviously, I think you need to take it with a grain of salt. Like, that, for whoever's seen that might necessarily just think it's that, and it has nothing to do with that at all. So, one that I wouldn't be surprised is Sly Cooper 5 apparently got revealed due to some retail listings, but it's like retail listings from stores that are not huge, so...
I mean, are they still making those games?
I mean, Sucker Punch is doing Ghost of Tsushima right now, so...
Yeah. I mean, like...
I could see them going back to that after they make Tsushima, if they wanted to.
I don't see them doing that. Like, not at all. I think they're just kind of done. Like, I mean, if anything, they make another Infamous game.
Yeah, it's probably at the point just like Naughty Dog was with Crash and Jak and Daxter. Like, I think people say that they want... Well, I mean, Crash is obviously owned by Activision now. That's a different thing. But I think people say that they would want to see another Jak and Daxter game, but I don't think Naughty Dog would want to really do that.
Right.
So...
Well, Punch... Naughty Dog did Ratchet and Clank at least. Like, I'd be more happy with it, you know, another one of those games.
Yeah, I think Sucker Punch is like so far beyond Sly Cooper at this point that unless they just Sucker Punch being a Sony studio, they just said, okay, we're just going to have another studio make Sly Cooper 5.
Yeah, I can see them doing that, like just farming it out or whatever, or going to or having studios go like pitch us a Sly Cooper game. But I'm looking it up. Yeah, the last Sly Cooper game was a PS3 game in like 2013.
Yep.
7 years ago. Like,
it's time for it if they wanted to make it. And I think with Crash kind of bringing back that and like Ukulele, and people are still clamoring for a Banjo game and all that, like bringing back those mascots, I think it could happen.
Yeah, bring back Jak and Daxter.
Yeah, bring back Blinks, Microsoft.
Yeah,
that
well.
So then we're getting into some of these make sense, and then some of these are kind of like, okay, now we're just throwing everything at the wall and see what sticks. So at one point or another, all of these games have been talked about as, oh well, this could be coming out at the launch of the PS5. A SOCOM remake.
I can see that.
Really? Like, you can see people really wanting to go back and play SOCOM now?
Well, I can see it. I can see them try to make it like a Battle Royale game.
Okay.
Like their own version of PUBG.
Yeah, because I don't know that... Like, there's so many of these games now. It's like trying to make Medal of Honor. Like, do we really need another one?
Well, Medal of Honor, it was super popular on the PS1. But that was about it. Like,
but SOCOM was popular on the PS2.
Yeah, but people have slightly more fondness for SOCOM, I think.
Also, Horizon... Go ahead.
Go on. I was going to say it's at least a little more relevant than, like a Medal of Honor.
Yeah, I think, obviously...
Also, Medal of Honor, I mean, it was a World War II game, and then they forced it into being like a modern game, and that's what killed it. It's like, what?
That's the only thing I could see with SOCOM, like you said, is a battle royale. Like, just bring it back to be a battle royale or something, because it's a different kind of space. Or
you know what they should do? Forget SOCOM, bring back MAG.
Wasn't that they were like boasting it's supposed to have like 100 players? It did.
Players, because like 64 players for 64.
Yeah, it was insane.
Only now they can make MAG 2 and it'll be 1,000 players, 500 versus 500.
Not needed. Horizon Zero Dawn 2, but now it'll have multiplayer. That one, you pretty much know that's happening.
Don't want the multiplayer, but I'd be happy playing another one of those games.
Yeah, certainly. Do you think it could be a launch game, honestly?
A what?
You think it could be a launch game?
I think so, because like that studio, like you would have expected them to have announced a sequel by now, and it's been 3 years since that game, so I guess they're holding it back for something. Like I imagine like the first PS5 trailer, they have, it'll probably be in there.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't want multiplayer because no.
No, definitely don't want that, but I can see why they'd be doing it, though.
Yeah.
Also, just rattle off the rest of these, because a lot of these don't have anything. I mean, MLB The Show 21, that's happening. Yeah. We know it's happening. I don't think it'll be a launch game, because that MLB 20 it'll still be the year for that. God of War 2, Spider-Man 2, a new Killzone, which that's also from the same developers as Horizon Zero Dawn 2, so they couldn't possibly, I don't think, make both games at once. Gran Turismo 7 and PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale 2.
Nope, I'm the last two.
I could see a Gran Turismo 7.
I think they could make it, but those games take forever to fucking make.
Yeah, not to mention all the licensing they have to do with the cars and everything else. And
I think Gran Turismo, I mean, on the PS1 it was great. In the PS2 versions, I didn't play them, but I know they're very, very well regarded. But everything after that, like, it's just been a dismal nightmare.
Yeah, like, they just all of a sudden went into like a tailspin trying to chase Forza.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a Gran Turismo game on PS4, Gran Turismo Sport, but like, no one cares about it.
Yeah, I think I've heard the people that actually like it. Like, it's not a bad game or anything. It just nobody cared.
What about Drive Club 2, man? Come on.
No. That's supposed to be the new wave of racing game, and ever that. That was supposed to be the
big game thing you mentioned. PlayStation All Stars 2. No, not in your damn mind.
I mean, that's the thing, like, what have they grown into their own mascots now that you're really going to... So you're going to have a bunch of third-party
You'll have the kid from God of War as well. That's about it.
Oh, and then you get to add Aloy, I guess. And you could add Spider-Man, maybe? I don't know how that would work, because Marvel's, Well,
I'm sure if they care, they make some provision. But, like, hey, we're letting you make another Marvel movie, so... Or Marvel, so we want
I think
Spider-Man
Sony owns the... Yeah.
I could see Spider-Man 2, like, the game being made, for sure.
Well, yeah, for sure. That's
God of War
happening.
2 is kind of a question mark. Did you finish that game or no?
I didn't get to finish it, no.
Okay, yeah, it ends on a weird note. Like, it's not, like a finality or anything, but I can see the character, like, the kid being older, perhaps, like a teenager, which might be interesting. Or, like, you might have more sections where you play as him. And,
right.
I mean, did you ever care about Killzone also?
I liked the first one.
Okay.
And then after that, I didn't play them at all.
I never played... So. I think I played... I played Resistance a little, but that was it. I didn't play any Killzone, so I have no
connection to that series at all.
I mean, I know that there's fans of it. I don't think that there would be this huge clamoring.
Well, I think that last one really didn't do well.
I mean, it's a reason why, like, Guerrilla started making Horizon, because they wanted out of that. Yeah, constantly just making Killzone and...
I don't blame them.
and all that stuff, so I don't think that they want to go back to that necessarily, so... Unless it's Sony owns the IP and they're farming it out to a different studio or something like that, very similar to the Sly Cooper thing.
They'll give it to EA DICE to make.
Well, hey, if Vince Zamperella's over there, it could be actually a really good game. You never know.
But, I mean, I see some of these games, like, maybe not like launch games, but I could see some of them, being exclusive to PS5 for sure.
Yeah,
like Spider-Man 2. Like, I wholeheartedly see that as a PS5 exclusive game, or a God of War 2.
Is there anything in that Sony ecosystem that you go, man, I really wish we could have another one of these, or a remake of this, or something like that?
Like of the old games or current games, or
yeah, doesn't matter, whichever.
Not really. Like, I mean, the stuff I would like, it just never happened. Like, I would love a new Tomba game. That's never going to happen. Or, Tokyo Jungle. I mean, I would love it. Like, Patrick Klepek would love it also, and so would Jens, but they're not going to make that.
Yeah, probably not.
I mean, I would like the new Infamous, for sure. And a new Ratchet and Clank, actually, as well.
Yeah, I think Ratchet and Clank would be a lot more awesome.
I was really shocked how much like that first one. Or, the remake they did, so do more of those. Right. Don't pump them out as much as you did the first series, the original franchise, because that's what killed it. Well, they did. They pumped them out like almost like a year after year, and it's like, this is too many of these. Like, slow your roll a little.
Yeah, something that they learned eventually of just,
Activision hasn't learned that role or learned that lesson. Neither has EA. I mean, is there anything you'd like to see, redone or brought back?
I mean, it would be amazing if we could get another Wild Arms or something, but that probably would never happen. I like Wipeout would be cool if they ever decided to make another one.
Yeah, but I think Liverpool is gone, or something happened to that studio. I mean, they made that Wipeout Omega collection on PS4, which is decent, but
right.
I mean, it's also the PSVR thing to consider.
Yeah, there is that. That they are. There is. I mean, we've known that Sony has confirmed that they are working on another VR thing. So I wonder what they're really going to bring for that. Necessarily that's going to try to hook you into buying that.
Right.
I think that's sort of my thing. Is just I think what they're releasing now is really good. I'm not Sony has done a great job of giving you just some power pack titles in recent memory, and so I'm not I don't have any problem with what they do. I think they've realized, okay, we don't need to when their big exclusive was like Knack, so they have certainly learned their lesson. And
Knack 3 is going to be a launch title for sure.
Right.
Mark Cerny's still at Sony, so he'll make that happen.
Yeah, there's going to be launch titles that probably aren't going to be up to stuff or whatever, but...
Well, I mean, very few consoles have a good launch. Like the Switch did. Yeah. I mean, but it was buoyed by, Mario...
Yeah, you have that one big launch game, like Halo,
yeah.
Breath of the Wild, that's... I mean... Those are rarities.
Yeah. It's funny, if you think about the PS2, launch, Like, I mean, it's 20 years ago, or, you know, damn near. But, like, it was stuff like Ready to Rumble 2 and, you know, Fantavision. It's like, what? And Tekken Tag Tournament. It's like, alright.
Fantavision, didn't they put that on the... Like, didn't it become like a PS2 classic or something like that? Like,
yeah. Yeah.
People remember it fondly, you know?
Right.
So,
it was the one, like, weird game, but that's about it.
it's... Go ahead.
Go on. No, I was going to say, you forgot to mention the other news story that broke, that they're going to make... Atari is going to make hotels.
Oh, God. Okay, we can't even get our system going.
Yeah.
That we've been trying to do for I don't know how long, and then we're going to do hotels.
And they also say it's going to be... I mean, it'll be video game themed with, quote, fully immersive virtual reality and augmented reality experiences. It's like, yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. And who's going to go do that?
Yeah. Exactly.
And how much are these hotels going to cost? Like,
I mean, a lot of money. It'll be some real estate group in Phoenix, apparently. But,
okay.
Yeah, this is like some Phantom project. Like, it'll be canceled in 6 months. It'll be like, oh, we couldn't get enough funding, or
even if it does make it for a while, like, honestly, you know, like, that's gonna go good for a few weeks. People are gonna post pictures of what it is. It's gonna get out there that it's kind of just whatever, and they're not gonna do that well.
Yeah.
It just...
But yeah. Like you said, well, someone pointed out, and I think it was on Twitter, he basically made the comment you did, like, they can't even get their console out. Like, with the, you know, you have faith in them to do this. And I was like, don't you understand, man? The hotels are going to fund the console experience, or fund the development of the console.
Yeah, all of a sudden now they're going to be putting in... they're going to be putting in VR into the Atari thing now. Like,
yeah.
Like, okay, well, now it's going to take us even longer to make that game. Great. Whatever. So, well,
yeah. I mean, PS5. I mean, I assume it's going to be day one purchase for you.
I don't know that it's going to be a day one. I might wait because depending on when it comes out, like, I mean, if it comes out, it's probably going to come out a week or two for my birthday, which helps on that end. But I don't know what's going to be going on at that point, so I don't want to say I will. But
right.
I'd say, depending on what is there at launch, right? Like, obviously, backwards compatibility is not going to be a problem. So my PS4 games that I had bought are going to work. So I can definitely buy, play any of that stuff if I want to. But there's got to be like a PS5 game that I really, really want, or I'll just wait because I'm not necessarily. There's always problems with those launch consoles, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm not saying, oh, I want to go out there the first day and get in that line and deal with all that. And because the Switch, when it came out, I went at like $11.50 at Walmart, and there was literally like another person there that actually knew that it was coming out, and I got one. They had like 10, and then after I and him and like one other person got it, there was people showing up like, oh, this is the new Nintendo? Okay. Like the PS5, I mean, I know there's like GameStops and all these other people are already accepting pre-orders.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know that I want to get all into that mess.
Between the two, I would say I'm much more interested in the PS5 than the Xbox. But
Xbox. Most of those games are going to work in some form or fashion, either PC, Xbox One, Xbox One X, the xCloud thing. Like, by then, the xCloud will be out there in full public release, so, you don't really need to go buy an Xbox One X. I think the only reason for me would be if there is an awesome... I don't know. Everything that we know about Microsoft is coming out like this year. So they have to have something up their sleeve that nobody knows about that would have to make you want to buy a Xbox Series X or whatever. Like PS5, I'm buying because I trust that Sony's gonna. I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow get Square Enix to put a Final Fantasy 16 logo up there or something like that. Like
I don't know. It'll be Final Fantasy 8 remake.
Yeah. Please don't do that. We already have enough problems with 7 remake. We don't need that too. So yeah, I think knowing Sony's history, definitely gonna try to get a PS5 early. But again, knowing that there's gonna be PS4 games coming out for a while, I'm not necessarily going bonkers saying I want to get it either. So what about you? Are you gonna try to save up?
I'm much more apt to get the PS. Well, I'll probably get the PS5 actually, because it's around Christmas and my birthday. So
yeah, that helps.
It'll be like 2 for gift.
For sure. So and it was your birthday on the 24th. So
yeah,
happy
that's
birthday!
He came up for that concert. I mean, we went to that was my birthday present from him essentially.
So it was Mark's birthday in the last week, and happy birthday to him.
Yep.
And yeah, so that's it for the show this week. We'll be back next week, getting to talk about some more games that came out recently, and also whatever has been going on. Rumors abounding again that Nintendo might have another Direct, so we'll see. And until then, make sure you hit subscribe so you get the show whenever it appears in your feed. If you go review, that helps a lot on whatever podcast service you like to use. And we appreciate everybody listening, and we'll see you later.
Later.